Welcome back, everybody. It's Working Wednesdays. Jesse Jr.
And I am Jesse Sr. And today we have some very special guests today. We have some interesting topics. We are late in October 2024, which means it's election year. So today, for shits and giggles, we're going to have a little discussion with some very good friends of ours. We have Nicole sitting next to Jesse Jr.
Hi.
We have Somar sitting next to Nicole. And we have Dave Feinberg, a good buddy of mine that I've known for many, many years, a great professional here in the area. And then we have Brandon sitting off to the side, and we have Chris sitting over here. So, with that being said, we're going to be calm and cordial today. Again, we have a major election coming up.
Yeah.
In a little over a week.
Yeah, so we've been
in
talking.
1 week.
We've been. This has been a pretty big topic for everybody for the last few months. I mean, things have been big changes over the last few months. A lot of different discussions, a lot of topics to go over. So I'm definitely excited to get into this.
Right. So jump in. If you feel like things are getting heated, jump in because Nicole's like a sister to me.
Oh, yeah.
Somar's a good buddy, and Dave and I are good buddies. We go way back. So if things get a little heated, just calm it down and reel it back in. Again, we just want to have fun. And ultimately what we're trying to do here is we just want to see what everybody's point of view is, which we're entitled to. Everybody's entitled to have their own point of views. So we just want to kind of get to know each other and see, what their thought process is on what's going on, and then see what everybody else's opinion is.
I'd like to look at it as friends having a discussion.
Let's hope so.
I mean,
so, Father, take the lead here, brother. So let's get right into it. It's
well, yeah.
How do we go about this?
So, 2024, we have Donald Trump is running for re-election.
President.
He was
Donald Trump.
President Donald Trump, right?
Former.
Okay.
President Clinton.
He was
okay, all right.
They're all presidents.
he was beat by Biden back in 2020. Some say that some say that the election was not fair, and some say that it was fair. Then we have Joe Biden actually won the nomination, but through a late turn of events, he was coerced to, and Nicole, correct me if I'm wrong, he was, in my opinion, he was coerced out of, or he was talked out of running for re-election, and Kamala Harris stepped in. So actually, that's a great place to start. So, Nicole, what do you think actually happened there first? And then we'll get Dave's opinion.
Okay, no, I agree with you. I think, he stepped down, and he got COVID, actually, and that was right after the debate with him and Trump, and he did awful.
Who did awful?
Biden did.
Okay.
President Biden.
President Biden. Okay, well, President Biden did awful. Just I think he's an intelligent guy, but his presentation was awful.
Okay.
And he always was like that. He always stuttered. He always slurred. I think he's sharp. I just know he doesn't look good. But then he got COVID, and then he stepped down. And I don't think he wanted to, but I think he ultimately agreed. I don't think he was forced out. But I don't know for sure.
So in your opinion, he had a bad debate,
Yep.
and that
Started the whole process.
started to him stepping down.
Yeah.
Salmar, what did you see that?
I mean,
What's your opinion?
I thought he was pressured into it because after the debate, he had multiple meetings with like the Obamas and the Clintons and stuff, and I think they kind of like, listen, you're getting old, you need to step aside. Which, for his age, I thought it was time for him to step aside.
Yeah, but Trump is also 3 years younger, so
Right. There's not many, but he was definitely during that debate. I don't know what it was, but he was not very coherent.
Now, so
Yeah.
you're in a younger generation.
Yeah.
Now you understand that he won the primary.
Yep.
So with that being said, so Dave, love to hear your opinion.
I mean, Jesse Jr., age is only a number. It's how you're able to answer the questions and how you're able to react. And
yes, sir.
If the country needs you, you have to be able to go to town and do what you need to do.
Yes, sir.
I don't think President Biden was able to do that. The truth of why he is not the nominated candidate
is because everything is always about the money. They held back $92 million from him the day after that debate and said you can no longer have the money that the Democratic people have to do your election, to put billboards up, to run ads.
The
on the
DNC.
newspaper.
Right.
Yeah, the DNC took away $92 million from him. And then they whispered in his ear, if you don't back out, we will invoke the
25th.
the 25th Amendment and tell everybody that you're not fit to be president. I'm also curious, where has President Biden been for the last 5 weeks? That man is missing in action. They are completely locked that man away, and he's our president, so if something happens,
That is actually.
we rely on that man right now to do something, and that lasts until January. So we have to get to January right now pretty much without a president.
So I was just actually going to say, so who is it? With that being said, I
What,
didn't even
who's the
think-
president?
I mean, yeah.
Well, that's Nicole answered that. That's
He
a
was
great
just
question.
in a rally in Michigan last week. I saw him. I watched it.
Okay, so he's still out there.
I just don't think he's actively campaigning for Kamala. I think he's just staying back and just doing his job until he goes. Like, he's kind of a sitting duck. I think he's just wrapping things up.
What does that job consist of, though?
But I
when
did
all
watch
this
him
is
on a
going
rally last
on?
week. He was out, but
During a lot of those big things, like the events I've been having in the Middle East, like I feel like Kamala was
Correct.
kind of stepping, like like he's been kind of pushed to the side. That may have something to do with it because
they're propping her up now.
He's no longer like the head of
sitting duck.
right. So Kamala's been kind of propped up.
Oh, I mean,
By the
one
time-
would have to think because Kamala's really not that popular, especially for your generation. Some might not even know who
Yeah.
Miss Harris is or
I mean,
Mrs.
during
Harris is.
2020, I didn't really care for her. I mean, sure she has some more younger like outlooks on things, but I don't like
So-
her personality. Like I think we can pick better.
With that being said, Somar, how old are you?
I'm 28,
And what's your, if you don't mind, what's your education level?
so I just have an associate's.
Okay.
College,
All right, so a young, and I'm sorry, how old are you?
28.
Okay, a 28-year-old. Okay, so you're kind of dancing around. You're paying
Yeah.
attention to politics. Is that common with other people your age?
Yes and no, depending on certain issues.
Okay.
Like I know, for example, like I feel like women my age right now, the whole big thing is just like women's rights. That's a huge push for Kamala, and you know it's an important thing. It's just I can't like it doesn't hit home with me because I'm not a woman, so I can't really like have a huge opinion on that. So when it comes to women's rights and stuff, I'm kind of just like
And
it's not my place.
I'm going to cut you off right there because you opened up a can of worms that I did not send either of you. And I kind of, I'm glad you actually started that because I kind of sent both of them a little bit of what
Right.
we wanted to talk about.
Right.
And son of a bitch, women's rights were not on there.
Yeah, well, so
That's a great segue
That is.
into that.
Okay.
Let's start with
want
you.
me to start?
Yep.
Okay, so everyone knows that it was the law of the land for 50 years. And then I think actually Trump has that as one of his biggest accomplishments.
You're talking about Roe v. Wade?
Roe v. Wade, yes.
Okay.
He put 3 Supreme Court justices into the, he's the one who nominated, got them in. They overturned Roe v. Wade, and he gave all the states the rights to abortion. I think that if anything, will lose him the election. I really do. I think that they should have messed with it. It wasn't a top priority. Now there's just a million things that are happening now that, Texas, for example, not allowed to cross state lines to get an abortion. Doctors are threatened to go to jail if they help a woman have an abortion. She has to be actively dying. She has to be in sepsis. 17 women, I think, so far have died because of these abortion bans. There's about 14 states that have rules, and I just don't think.
How many states? You
think it's 14
about
or
14?
17.
Okay.
So let's say 14, but I don't think that this is going to go over well. I think it's going to get worse and worse, and I think it should have just been the law of the land. I don't think he should have messed with it, and I think that he thought it would have been received better. So Trump's like, he's backing out. It's like, well, I don't agree with a complete abortion ban. Now he said that he did a while ago, but now it's polling really bad. So he's trying to distance himself.
Now, do you think the states that have the abortions laws right now, are they predominantly left or right states? Are they blue or red states?
Oh, they're red.
Okay. So most Democratic states are pro-abortion. Dave, I'd love to dig in, man. What do we got going on here?
Just a quick comment on President Biden being missing.
Mhm.
He's missing from all the major events happening around the world. She mentioned that he went to a rally. Okay, so they're trying to use him in some way
Okay.
to bring him to a rally. I mean, there's a hurricane that completely devastated and killed, I think, 200 to 300 people.
Mhm.
There's a war going on that's probably the closest we've ever been to World War. President Trump is a big proponent of peace through strength. He demonstrated it for 4 years. He kept us out of many conflicts because, quite frankly, I think everyone knows that if they would have done anything wrong under his watch, he would have went at them. And as soon as President Biden took over, all hell broke loose around the world. There's no such thing as peace. And the biggest concern about that is we don't want to get into a situation like in the past where our boys and our girls that are between the ages of 18 and 25 have to be drafted to go into a conflict or a war and go fight when they don't even want to. It's hard enough for soldiers who sign up and join the military to have to deal with that part of it, let alone I don't want my children to get drafted into a war that we really don't need to be in.
Right.
And I thought President Trump did a good job of keeping us out of those conflicts. And I think that we need someone like him to try to settle some of these problems. So not to avoid women's rights, but I just felt the need to say our president right now, President Biden, is missing in action. And it's kind of concerning as an American that we really need him right now to get up and do a lot of work. And one thing about President Trump, Jesse Jr., is, yes, he's a couple years younger, maybe 2 or 3.
I think it's 84 and 81.
That man outworks all of us in this room, I believe. I've never seen anyone work from morning to night the way he did when he was the president. I followed him closely. He traveled like there was no tomorrow. He stepped out of that plane. He went to so many different places. He stepped up to so many people around the world and shown them how strong of a country we were.
Right.
And he did a great job while he was president. I voted my entire life as a Democrat. I voted
I remember that.
For Obama twice.
I remember that.
I wore Obama shirts. When President Trump became the president and some things were released and I learned more about what's really happening behind closed doors. What did President Obama, what did he really do? Who's he affiliated with? One thing that I really opened my eyes is President Trump has never gotten involved with politics. He's never been arrested. He's never drinking alcohol or smoked cigarettes. He raised a family. He ran a business. He was well-liked throughout the community. He was actually an icon to many people on both sides until he decided to run as a Republican for president. And then the monsters who control the world or the country, they really came out after him. They really tried to tarnish his name.
No, Dave, do you think that has to do with the women's rights thing? Or so, I mean, it's...
Yeah, I think it gets into that. I think they try to tarnish his name. They try to bankrupt him. They try to all of a sudden charge him with tons of felonies when the man lived 70-something years without even a ticket, let alone being arrested and thrown in jail, which I don't believe he deserves.
Let's go on that, right.
So I think what's really happening, and one thing I really wanted to get out early, is my eyes were opened when you see the Bushes and the Clintons and President Obama and all these former presidents snarking and standing on the stage together in unison against President Trump. I think that what that really tells you is we don't have Republicans and Democrats. We have a government run by powerful people with a lot of money, and they do not want President Trump in for the reason that he doesn't need their money. His decisions are not based on what they want. It's what he wants.
Right.
So I think it's pretty evident why his name's been run through the mud consistently for a long time.
Hold on 1 second, though. But I would love to hear from a younger perspective now. he brought up a very valid point now. As we've all seen in the public eye, President Trump was prosecuted. He was on trial.
Convicted.
He was convicted on 16 accounts or 17 accounts.
34.
Was
30
it like business that had to like do? With
So
business?
from a 28-year-old, what does that mean, and what is your perspective? Like, what do you think about all of that, Solmar?
It's hard to like, I guess put, because I didn't follow it all that closely because there was a lot of just. It's hard to like put aside the misinformation because, like Dave said, Trump really wasn't like none of this stuff really came out about Trump until he started running for president, and then it was he's done this, he's done that. It's like they were kind of grasping at straws for certain stuff. Like personally, I don't like Trump. I think the Republicans have better choices than Donald Trump. I think in certain situations he could speak a little bit better. I don't know. It's hard to say because those convictions, like they had evidence on him. So like I can't. Once it comes to like the rule of law, like he did commit some crimes. Which, if you look at the Democrats, I'm sure if you dig deep enough, you will see crimes committed. And that's with every powerful politician. I mean, they have insider information. They can't like it's hard to say. I think it was a witch hunt, a little bit of a witch hunt.
Okay.
I would agree with it. Like,
Did it persuade a
I don't
potential
think so.
vote? No,
I don't think so. No, like to me, when it came to some of that stuff, like I didn't really care for it honestly, because like this election, I chose like not to vote. Okay. Like I don't think I'm gonna vote. This
maybe after this little discussion.
Yeah, I don't know. We still got a week left, but
Nicole. Yes. So again, and I love that you're vested in this. So how many convictions?
Okay, so 34.
Okay, 34 convictions.
34 felonies. He still has a couple
that is crazy
more.
to say.
A couple more court dates coming up. One's November 29th.
Oh shit!
Now here's the thing. I think there's two angles. The one angle is, yeah, Trump was doing his own thing, minding his own business. He's a good businessman. He's successful. Blah blah blah. And now he's a good guy, and he's trying to like make things better and expose the corruption. You know, I can see how people see that. Or he's a freaking scumbag all of his life. He's been sued over 4,000 times. He did lots of white collar crime, but when you're that rich, you kind of just buy your way out. Like you don't get convicted. Now, what happened when he ran for president? Whenever you run for president, the spotlight's on you. He is the one person that they looked at top to bottom. They looked at Biden's family top to bottom. Hunter, granddaughter, like you are under a microscope. He's under a microscope. It's not because people hated him. It's because that's just what happens.
So Biden was never convicted of anything?
Biden never was, but you're under a microscope. So it's not that they hated Trump. He's just under a microscope. So 27 women accused him of being a sexual deviant. I mean, maybe they're lying. Okay, maybe they're lying. One. All the lawsuits that he's been involved in, maybe those people are lying. All the bankruptcies, not fair. Someone did something to him. Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City was busted for money laundering in the 80s for the Russians.
Right. So in your
maybe
stance,
he's not always been a good guy.
Yeah. So your stance is that he's been convicted. They brought up stuff that was valid points, and you think that he should pay the piper for it. That he should face criminal charges.
Even if he has good intentions, I don't think that he's equipped to run a country.
What's the most severe? Hold on one second. What is the most severe charge that he has been brought up on?
I think rape, but he hasn't been convicted of it.
No, okay.
I can't think of her name.
Yes, the judge said he tried to sue for defamation of calling him a rapist, and then the judge and the jury determined that most likely.
Is this for the professional?
E. Jean Carroll.
Dancer woman?
No, that's her name. What's her name? I can't think.
E. Jean Carroll.
Yeah, and then there was the one that he paid.
Stormy
Daniels.
Okay, so this is not about her.
No. Okay. The most.
Was she a prostitute? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Porn star.
Porn star.
Call girl. Right. What do you got to say about that?
I don't. About what?
So
because there's so many things going on.
Right. So he was convicted.
Correct.
He went through the process now, and perhaps Dave.
See, now
Dave can
that's
hold on 1 second. Hopefully, Dave could probably. Dave's argument would be that this trial was held in New York, which is a highly democratic state, and that's where the conviction process took place.
But did this conviction happen in the time that he was even president,
Yeah,
no.
or this was
no.
his
It was
life
after.
before?
It was
so,
after.
So this was after.
This is
So
after
they-
he was the president.
The Supreme Court made a rule that anything Trump did as president was not illegal.
Kind of like
They
null
weren't
and
allowed
void.
to do
So-
anything to him until he was out of the presidency.
So
to
were
answer the question, he was convicted of crimes that happened 25 years ago.
Okay, so
well, there's a couple, old.
Well, in New York, I think there's a statute of limitation where it's like they can still be convicted. You could commit a murder in 1940.
see, I don't know if I'm being biased or not, but it's just kind of, I don't know.
Spit it out. What are you gonna say?
Well, I mean, you get you get charged. I mean, it's just like a he said, she said kind of thing. I mean, 25 years later, like Somar said earlier, none of this stuff started coming out until he became president. So now, now my question is like, is it all the things in the past that make him a bad president, or is it the things that he's doing as he's actually president?
Well, okay, so we're not going to dive too deep into it. So Dave's point is that he was not. They didn't start poking him. That they loved him, and they did not start poking on him until he ran for president. That's Dave's clear point. And to Nicole's point is he did things that you can never run and hide from.
And Jesse, that wasn't the point I was trying to make. The point I was trying to make is there is a club, and he's not in it. And they were very shocked the night that he beat Hillary Clinton that they did not have their ducks in a row to prevent that from happening. They had to hand him the keys to the White House.
Yes.
They had to deal with him for 4 years. They hated every minute of it. They were scared during the whole time because for 100 years, these people in this club have run this country.
Right.
Doesn't matter if they were red or blue, behind closed doors, they were in the club, and he is not part of that club.
It's safe to say. It is safe to say that Bill Clinton was no saint.
Right.
No.
I have a comment though. If you're right, I'm not even saying you're wrong. Does that make Trump a good guy?
No, and I'd like to agree with one thing that I think everybody wants to agree on, and I can agree on it too because I'm a father. I'm a new grandfather. I have a granddaughter.
Right.
I do not like Donald Trump. I love President Trump. So when it comes
Hold on one
to
second. Hold on 1 second.
I
I would love to. Do you like Donald Trump?
pin that.
he said he doesn't like Donald Trump.
I said I don't.
Donald Trump. We're talking about
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Do you like
the
him or
man.
no? Yes
I
or no?
don't like Donald Trump, the man.
Do you like Donald Trump?
Probably not.
Do you like Donald Trump? I don't
man
like
or the
Donald Trump.
It's
Listen,
the man, not Donald Trump.
yeah, I don't like Donald Trump. I think Donald
president.
Trump is a complete fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Do you like Donald Trump?
He is an asshole.
For other reasons that aren't.
Do you like Donald Trump? Yes
Yeah,
or no?
I
Do
do.
you like Donald
I do.
Trump? You obviously do not.
I don't like him as a person or president.
As a president, now let's go back and turn around. Do you like Donald Trump as, a president?
I'll have to say, so just to give you some background on me, because I think perspective and kind of walk of life has to do with, a part of this conversation. Like, I'm a first-generation immigrant. Like, my parents immigrated from Syria. They're citizens. They worked their ass off to be immigrants. And, my dad has worked manual labor for 50 years, trying to put food on the table. And I have to put that forward because when President Trump was in office, there really wasn't any wars. To go back to sure, we were still in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
How Biden pulled out of Afghanistan was a total, excuse my language, fucking train wreck.
Okay. Interesting. From a young buck.
They just pulled out and left billions of dollars of equipment.
Well-
And then the Taliban is like setting rules that like, hey, women can't even speak in public or you're going to be beheaded. Like, they set some.
And what is your nationality?
I'm Syrian.
Okay.
Yeah,
wow,
but
okay.
my parents are Christian.
So this is
they're Christian.
Yeah. So
But
this is okay.
It's like it was some of the stuff like during Obama's presidency. Obama bombed the hell out of Syria, bombed the hell out of different countries with drones and shit. Which I didn't agree with any of his foreign policy because
Right.
he killed a lot of innocent civilians doing that. So that is like kind of where I draw the line with foreign policy. Like, if you're gonna go after bad guys, fine. You're gonna kill innocent civilians in the process, maybe not.
Okay, hold that thought. So, just instead of going full circle, though, so I tend to like President Trump. That's a great point, Dave. Now, so Solmar brings up the whole Syria and foreign policy. So I would love to get your perspective on like where we're at right now. Like, what's your viewpoint on President Trump's foreign policy as opposed to our foreign policy from about the last 4 years?
It's embarrassing that we have to have what's going on right now with innocent children and people in Palestine. What's happening? It's embarrassing that we can't take care of our own country, but we just keep giving hundreds and hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to Ukraine. It's embarrassing that Putin did not do anything under President Trump, and the day President Biden took over, Putin decided it was time to invade Ukraine. It's embarrassing that we are seeing what's happening in Israel. I come from a Jewish background.
Mm-hmm.
My family escaped Poland in the 1940s when Hitler was invading. It's completely scary to see what's happening in the world, and it's really infuriating. No matter how bad Donald Trump is as a man, or no matter how good he is as a president, for any news media, comedian, speaker, politician, or leader of our country to go up and compare Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler is disgusting, and it should be stopped, and you should be apologizing, because there's never been a human being on earth like Adolf Hitler, and there should never be anyone compared to that man. So for them to use that terminology
Right.
is only to rile people up. It could get President Trump assassinated. It almost did a few times.
Mm-hmm.
The more times they say stuff like that, people who are not right in their head are watching it over and over and over again, and they feel like they're the only ones who can put a stop to him, because they actually believe that Donald Trump is the same type of person as Adolf Hitler. This is all bad for our country, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And it's sad because we didn't have any of this
Right.
under his presidency.
Interesting.
I saw a sign on someone's front lawn the other day that said, "If you vote for Trump, you're voting for the devil." And I was like,
So,
"Is it that?
interesting.
That's just insane."
Some
So-
people go like there's extreme views on both sides, which that's why sometimes I'm in the middle, because there's crazies on both ends,
Sure.
and they eat that fuel, man. They that hateful rhetoric, like comparing him to
Fire,
Hitler.
man.
Donald Trump didn't build concentration camps, so it's
Right.
like, sure, does he have some hateful rhetoric? Sure, you can say with some things that he says it's a little hateful, but comparing him to somebody who built concentration camps and gas chambers, I think is a little extreme.
Is it, Nicole?
It
I
is.
don't know.
If
Let's
you
see.
if you like put both feet on the ground and you kind of center yourself like, okay, that you're comparing it to a guy who invaded multiple countries,
Yeah.
went after Jews, went after all different types of religions other than Jews, actually,
Sure.
and he.
I would love to hear.
Yeah,
So, Nicole, so foreign policy, and then this comparison to Hitler seems to be popping up a lot lately.
Okay. So, no, I don't think Trump's trying to be Hitler at all. There's some people that surround him, like Stephen Miller, for one. He is a self-proclaimed Nazi, or he used to be. Trump has a lot of hateful rhetoric as well. To the point where I watched his thing last night, his rally last night, and it was 2 hours of just scaring and making everyone scared to death, fear mongering, these illegal immigrants. He went on like a bit where he's like, they're going to take a sharp knife and they're going to cut the little girl. And he just kept going. I have no idea what he's trying to get out of this. Like, does he want someone to go just start killing illegal immigrants? Like Dave said, like, there's going to be crazies that are going to take his word too and just go. And I just don't know when it's going to stop. He doesn't have to say any of that, but for some odd reason, I just think he's got ulterior motives. I would like to think he's a good guy. I really do not think he's got good intentions for the country. I really don't. I really don't.
Foreign policy. Solmar brought up a great point about, the withdrawal from Afghanistan. It was something that everybody has talked about for the last 20 years. Biden did it. So, in your opinion, when he actually brought, I would love to hear from your point of view how that was handled. Was it handled properly? Like, what's your perspective on that?
I think Biden was in a no-win situation because Trump said he was going to end all wars. He ran on ending all wars. No more, no more. So he got almost all the troops out. And then when Biden came, he had to get the rest. And it was just a mess. I can't say I'm blaming Trump or Biden, but I don't think all the blame's on Biden. It was he had what he had. He had to get just the last few guys out, and he had to do it without getting any of them killed. They're all alone in that country. So I just wouldn't put all the blame on Biden. I mean,
okay, fair enough.
So when all the soldiers died, when he was ending the war in Afghanistan, and we lost 9 soldiers' lives, what
13.
you're saying is it was a failure because we did lose.
That's always a failure if people die. Like there's 26 under Trump that died.
Yeah, it was a failure, and we also left $80 billion of our equipment there, which a month ago was used in a parade. They now have all of our equipment working. They have keys. They have gas. They have everything. And they paraded our equipment down the street. The Taliban has our equipment, and they can use it to defend themselves.
That actually makes my heart skip even thinking about that.
But here's my question. If Trump's going to end the wars and he pulled the guys out, what was going on with the equipment back then? I mean, Biden, should have done it too, but what about him? They both share the blame. I just feel like...
If I'm not mistaken, President Trump had a plan, and they did not like his plan, so they used their plan. Their plan didn't work. I don't know off the top of my head what President Trump's plan was, but even I, as a layman, anyone who's been in the military knows that if worst case scenario, if we don't have the means to get the equipment out, we had an option to completely destroy it.
Yeah, I agree.
To just leave it there was a really bad move.
Yeah.
It was second to the bad move of losing our troops.
Understood.
I
So
feel like
we lost lives.
Yeah.
We lost
13.
equipment.
It was
and we
13
lost
lives.
a lot of our reputation in that move. So I think it was a total failure.
Yeah.
Whether or not President Trump's plan would have worked, I don't know, because I don't know exactly what his plan was, but I'm almost positive it was probably not his plan that they executed.
I feel like it's so gray. It's not always black and white. It's not all Biden's fault. I'm not saying it's all Trump's fault either. It's just, and I hate when they say, well, there was no wars when Trump was... I mean, Biden, when Russia invaded Ukraine, is that just because Biden was there? I mean, just because Biden was voted in, is that it? Is that how we're going to blame it?
It's not just no wars under President Trump. We've had wars for every single president, Republican and Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah, America's been at war for
Every
90%
single one
of
has
its
been
history.
involved in nonsense, except no one wanted to mess with President
And
Trump.
why do you think that, Dave? Curious.
I think it goes right along the same lines of what Nicole feels is they think that Donald Trump is an absolute lunatic, and if they would have messed with him, he probably would have annihilated their entire country. We don't know. We don't know if that's what would have happened, but if I was in control of another country and I thought that the president of the United States, the most powerful country on earth, with the most money and the biggest military, was going to come at me and destroy me if I messed around, I'm probably going to wait until he's out to make my move.
Because from what I recall, and again, I'm neutral here. From what I recall, is the Taliban leader, when he had a discussion with the Taliban leader, he showed him a picture of his house.
It's a great story.
And he said, I'm going to nuke your whole town if you kill any of my soldiers.
Who's that? Trump did?
How
did
that
Trump,
was
was
reported.
Why were there so many Talibans released under Trump? He released a ton of Taliban prisoners. It was a trade.
Okay. Well, so who knows? But
When it comes to the Taliban, it's like I'm not old enough to remember, but when the Soviets invaded Afghanistan, the Taliban kicked their ass. Like the territory and landscape in Afghanistan, the Taliban is I don't want to give them any credit, but they're a formidable force. Like they're a guerrilla force. Like that's why we were there for 20 years. They would shoot at our guys, sneak up into the woods, sneak up into the mountains. You never find them. I mean, they outlasted the Soviets. We gave them weapons during when the Soviets invaded them to stop, the expanse of the Soviet Union. And
You always say you don't know much. You know, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's well, when it comes to foreign policy, that's kind of a little bit of my expertise.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, the Soviet Union, they got their ass kicked by the Taliban. I mean, we were there for 20 years, like
because of cave fighting.
Right. I mean, guerrilla warfare. They did it in Vietnam. I mean, it's a hell of a tactic.
Well said, Somar.
I mean,
said.
but
let's jump into let's.
I'm not supposed to. But I want to.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
Do you know who created the Taliban? We did. CIA, 1956.
I heard about that.
Read it.
Okay.
I mean, Osama bin Laden was a CIA asset.
Oh, really?
They paid him
All right.
Oh, God.
millions of dollars. I mean, whatever.
We're not gonna jump down rabbit holes.
I love all the points that I'm hearing, but we got to remember every seed grows weeds.
Okay. So, all right. So moving on, because again, we can spend hours on these topics. Economic inequality, right? So, where we're at right now, as opposed to where we were at 4 years ago, and that's I think a big running point for each party, and each party has to answer to that. So, let's start right from the young.
Wait, no. So what exactly does that mean?
Well, actually, I'm going to take out the inequality out.
Yeah.
of
So
it.
get it. So
Yeah.
so
So,
actually, so can
what policies can effectively address income?
Well, can I just ask one question?
Sure.
How much do you pay for your gas? Oh shit!
It's unscripted. We're unscripted here.
Oh shit! But come on.
Jesse, no, listen. The president doesn't control the gas prices. He doesn't.
That's I don't know. No,
right,
get
hold
into
No,
that.
he just asked you, do you pay more or less than
Right.
I pay for your gas?
Yes,
Yeah.
in COVID, when we went nowhere, I paid 50 cents for gas a gallon. Yes, correct.
Okay, so hold on for 1 second. All right. So, what's your opinion? Like, what are you trying to emphasize here?
Well, you said what was different from 4 years ago from now.
All right.
Well, 4 years ago when Trump was president.
So you don't know shit about
I
shit.
don't exactly.
Right.
And
So
that's the
for
point
you,
of it. And that's the point of
That's
this.
a good point.
Gas.
That's the point.
right?
That's
So
the
so
average
gas.
voter.
It's exactly.
You're talking about gas.
Correct.
So from an economic standpoint, that's what's hitting you hard is gas right now.
Yeah, I'm 25, and that's a big thing, and that's
gas.
that's huge. And
It's rent. It's home prices.
Yeah.
It's interest rates. It's groceries. It's every single. You go to McDonald's.
yeah, see,
And you try to order 2 meals. You better have $42.
We just
What
went
did
to
we just
McDonald's.
say?
We
Right.
got 2 McChickens, 2 medium
Fucking
fries, and
$20.
yeah, $20.
Actually, that's pretty good.
You got a good deal.
no, it ain't.
Okay.
Yeah,
Big chicken used to be $1.
That was not a
Chicken
prop.
used to be $1.
I agree.
All right, back to it though. But seriously, this is something.
Okay.
It's a father son. Like I'm because I don't know shit,
No,
man.
no,
This
I get
is
it.
so no seriously because how does
So for you, so things are expensive now. That's what you're trying to.
correct?
So me and my fiance went to Aldi's 3 weeks ago. We spent $240. Lasted us like a week and a half. Mind you, just 2 of us.
That's ridiculous.
$240 lasted us a week and a half. We got some steak, got some chicken, and we made a few meals. And it's like, okay, now we gotta go grocery shopping again and spend another $250. So for 2 people, single family home, it's costing us over $500 for food. I mean,
Somar, are
Yeah.
you insinuating that it's inflated now? Like, are you insinuating that it's difficult now, or
the economy is definitely not my expertise, but I lived at home during COVID and when Trump was in office, so I can't. My parents were buying the groceries, so it's hard for me to compare then. Maybe they would have some more insight because I was living at home then.
right? So you're saying, but it's very expensive.
But
Obviously.
it is very expensive. In the last year, it's even grown.
Okay.
Like we went to Aldi's the first time we moved into our house 3 years ago, and I think I spent like $160, and it would last us like 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
And to remind you, Aldi's is supposed to be the alternative
Right.
to
And
spending.
I'm shopping.
cheap.
I'm
Right,
shopping at
exactly.
the cheapest place.
And I'm right there with you,
If
brother.
we
Nicole,
went to
prep up
Weiss,
for
I'd be
right
spending
there, Nicole.
$400. I mean, I think as Americans, when it comes to the economy, we could kind of agree. That's like healthcare. We can kind of agree on healthcare that
All right, and let's
we
not
all
open
get
that.
so
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
so-
let's not
but
open
yeah,
that
so
just
we'll
yet. Just
stick
wait.
to
Hold
the-
on.
So
Hold
Nicole,
on.
you said Nicole, you mentioned that that's not the president's fault. You mentioned when I brought up the scenario, you said that that's not Biden or Trump's fault. So now going
Whose
back
fault
to
is
that, now I said that. How does that?
Well, he mentioned groceries. He mentioned
Okay.
gas. What's your perspective?
I'll tell you how it happened. The greedy effing billionaires that own these companies and the gas price gouged, took advantage of a bad situation, and then Congress had the price gouging act that Republicans would not sign, and it could have been lowered for us. Things are coming down now. I don't know how it got up so high, but I can't figure out, even if I tried, what Biden did, that everyone says Biden did to raise everything. He didn't. He got the economy. The economy flew up after COVID was over because it was all wacky. And then now it's calming down. Congress tried to speed it up by doing the Price Gouging Act. I don't know if it was Burger King or McDonald's, but one of them had all of them have record profits in 22, 23, and all are showing record profits. How are their profits insane? And then our prices went up. That matches, that tracks.
I think Americans always get the shit end of the stick, and to play off of her point, it is not always the president. Their policy does have some say, and I think when they enact that policy, it's not overnight that stuff changes. It progresses over time, so it's not it's like with the economy. It's slow. It's not going to change overnight. So I think billionaires and price gouging, I think that is a huge issue.
Okay.
I think Americans are making
because I know Dave's itching to get.
Yeah, because I
hold on. So what you're insinuating is that you feel like the inflation of all of these prices has to do with price gouging and post-COVID shenanigans,
Taking
and
advantage of it,
everyone's the margins are super high from a business perspective.
Yes.
Where we at, Dave?
With all due respect, Nicole's just wrong. Inflation is a result of printing too much money and injecting it into the market. Inflation always comes from printing too much money and injecting it into the market. It also has a little bit to do with corporations scared of the current administration and what they will do, so they try to make changes to protect their bottom line, to protect their shareholders, which is their job, and we all answer to a boss. Sometimes they answer to their shareholders, so they're always going to be after profit. They don't know if they're going to hit record profits or not, but they're always going to try. And if they did hit record profits, that's what we were built on. Unfortunately, money was injected into the economy due to printing excessive amounts of money. A lot of fraud had happened. COVID resulted in a lot of stimulus money, and we've never been able to recover. It wasn't a direct result of a president, but it was icing on the cake when President Biden was elected. They thought he was going to stop drilling. They thought he was going to do things that were anti-coal, anti-oil, and those are the things that results in high gas prices. Food prices are a direct result of, they want to control wages. Wages are determined based on what a person is willing to work for, not what a company is willing to pay them. It's just like a home is worth what a person is willing to pay for it, not what a seller wants for his home. If it was the other way around and the seller wanted more for the home wouldn't sell because the buyers wouldn't buy.
I think
as soon as the buyers buy, then that determines the price. If we're buying the groceries, if we're buying the gas, if we're buying the houses, we must have the money to do so. The bad part of all of this is we have credit card debt at an all-time high, far exceeding any other time in history. We're just finally now starting to see people forfeit their cars after 4 years, 3-4 years of paying more for cars than what they were worth. Yeah. Car prices went through the roof. People had the money. The money was injected into the economy. People overpaid for the car. The car worked good when they bought it, so they paid for it. As soon as the car breaks down, they can't afford to repair the car. What are they going to do? Repair the car to get to work or make the payment? They're going to repair the car. They're going to let the payment go. Repossessions are now 9 to 1 of what they were 12 months ago. After credit cards, after car repossessions, always comes job loss, and after job loss, always comes real estate.
You bring up such a valid point, Dave.
And a recession will loom.
You bring up such a valid point because this knucklehead went out and got a brand new car. New, like what, 2024? What is it? I mean, brand new car.
Yeah.
These kids.
I screwed up, man. And it's funny you say that because
They had the money. So even my other daughter,
holy shit.
so my other two kids were getting $6,000-$7,000 checks. You know, during COVID, they were getting. I don't even know what.
See,
I
wasn't.
got brand new
Why
cars.
didn't I? I
But
see
he's only
what
one
happened
guy.
there.
You got to understand, this is happening to hundreds of thousands, maybe even a million or more people all at the same time. So, eventually we cannot afford to pay these prices.
Mhm.
And when we stop paying the prices, the things people don't understand is that's when these corporations that are making these massive profits, they will cut jobs. As soon as they cut jobs, that is when our economy always hurts the worst. They did it to President Obama. They rocked his world when he became the president. The job loss was through the roof. The economy was so bad that they had to bail out the banks. They had to bail out the car companies. President Obama did a good job at that time of trying to keep the economy together because people were not allowed to go take their money out of the bank because the bank didn't have the money to give the people.
Interesting.
You're talking about 2008 when Obama came in, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it was a very dangerous time, and that is what they can do again. When people stop paying their bills, companies will cut jobs. If they don't like the administration, they will just move their company to Canada or Mexico or Europe or somewhere that's more friendly to their bottom line. And then we pay the price for that because that is what they call a recession. The recession that could come could be the worst ever, worse than the Great Depression. If that happens, that's a big thing. So we need someone that understands how to avoid that, can protect the corporations so
Right.
they don't move out and cut jobs. Unfortunately, Donald Trump is not the greatest human being, but he's really good at that type of stuff. So he's talking about tariffs. He's talking about using tariffs in ways that no president has ever used before because taxes, quite frankly, are out of control. And our tax money is not going to helping our homeless, our veterans, our natural disasters. It's not going to anything other than wars and things that we don't necessarily, big government.
And I have a question on all this now too. Then, so I have a big question for Somar and Nicole now. So I'm not gonna lie, all the pinpoints here are. I'm getting hit with so much knowledge. I'm not even exactly sure how much.
Your
of this
brain
I'm
can't
taking.
handle
This
it.
isn't ridiculous, but
It's got smoke
yeah,
coming out of
I
his
am
ears.
holy
compute.
shit. So I'm not gonna lie. I do kind of feel like it's been a little bit of a pissing battle. I do feel like everyone's kind of shooting shots a little bit here and whatnot. So now to turn it around a little bit, Somar, you're in the middle here, and Nicole also. So like, what are some beneficial things that Biden has done in office? Because we're sitting here going back and forth on. I feel like a lot of the bad
in
stuff.
reference to the economy.
Like,
so
to
I
the
think it's
econ-
important
right,
to
so-
we're talking
so-
about the economy right now and inflated prices right now.
And exactly. So thank you for easing it up for me because I don't know how to ask that
So-
question. So what is something beneficial that steered you to be in the middle? Like what has he done that steered you to be to where you're at?
So there's nothing that he's done. So when Trump was in office, obviously COVID happened, and he kind of got the shit end of the stick with COVID because I was unemployed. I was on unemployment.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends were on unemployment.
Yeah.
My mom was. My dad is a handyman, so we were still working. But like, I was sitting at home for like a year with my thumb up my ass, doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like, so when Biden came in office, I think it was kind of a boost for him because the economy was coming back. But I just started owning a home 2.5 years ago, so
Okay.
I can't put much input because
Okay,
my
well,
spending
no,
at
well,
home,
that-
like
and that's why
I can't
asked,
put much
'cause-
input. Like maybe
okay.
they can.
What's
Like
your interest rate?
on our house, I think like 5.5.
That's
And
your-
we
that's your
bought it like
interest rate?
almost 3 years ago.
Okay. So Nicole, answering to his question.
Jesse's about the economy better.
Yeah, right now. So what has Biden done for the economy right now? That's
Thank
his
you,
question.
sir.
Okay,
Thank you,
so-
sir.
All right, so I'm sorry, Dave. I disagree with why the prices are high because you said they're putting more money in this and that. that means every single country in the whole world is doing the same thing. We are not on an island. Every single country has rates are way up. Every single country is going through the same thing post-COVID. So they just said, I don't know if it was the Treasury, I should look it up, but the USA has the best recovery from COVID in the whole world. They just announced that. I don't know if it was I don't know if it was the World Economic Forum that said it, but record low no unemployment, or wait, how am I saying that?
I think our unemployment's like at 2 or 3%.
Yeah, unemployment's very low.
It is
Well,
pretty
that's
low
a good
compared
thing.
to COVID. It was pretty low.
Yeah, inflation is coming down.
I mean, that's what you're hearing, but I don't see anything coming down. You can't name one thing that came down.
Gas did come down. It used to be like 4 or something. Now it's around 2.59.
Gas did come down. My groceries, though, they're still.
Yeah, I would say. I tell you, I still think.
You think gas came down in the last 3 weeks?
I don't know.
Yes or no?
I mean, I feel like it's been like the same for a year. I don't know. Maybe it did. I'm saying.
I work from home, so I don't put gas in my car much, so I can't really.
I think gas stations prices have come down in the last 3 weeks. I have to agree to that. I have no clue why. Nothing else has come down. Do you think gas coming down has something to do with what's about to happen in 10 days?
Possibly.
Do you think everything going up?
I mean, why was it so high this whole time? They couldn't get it down, and now all of a sudden we're 10 days away from an election, and I see a 295, and I haven't seen a 295.
This is why I'm in the middle.
You know what I could say?
This is why I'm in the middle.
You know what? On that point, we could also say when Biden came into the office, since Trump gives the top percent, the tax cuts, and the top percent love Trump because Biden wants to tax the rich and Trump wants to give them tax breaks and add $8 trillion to the debt. Did everything shoot up when Biden came in because they were pissed and they wanted Americans to be pissed off so they would vote Trump back in to get more tax breaks?
Taxing the rich has never worked in any country.
Yes, it has.
No, it's never worked. It's also I pay more taxes and I'm not rich. You pay more taxes. We all pay more taxes than we were ever meant to pay. Income taxes were never supposed to exceed 4%. Everyone, except for if you make less than $26,000 a year, everyone pays more than 4% income tax. Right? How much more?
I don't know about that. I'm not sure.
4 times more? 10 times
So
more if you're rich?
Biden did it. Anybody making over $400,000, their taxes were raised.
In 1882, we had 0 federal income tax.
Some
We
say
were the
taxation
richest-
is theft.
We were the richest country on planet Earth. Okay, this is before the Great Recession. And then somebody decided that they were going to ride on the people's coattails. It's exactly against what George Washington said. If you listen to the Washington address, he warned us of all of this. If you read it, it's read to us every year, once a year. The Democrats read it. Republicans read it. It's called the Washington Address. Anyone could read it. And what it is in a summary is George Washington fought for our country to get us our freedoms, and then we wanted him to continue to be president. General Washington went up and gave his farewell speech, which is sometimes referred to, what do you call it when someone quits a job?
Oh, like their retirement or whatever.
No, there's a word for
resign.
it. Resign.
Yeah.
So he
Resignation.
he gave his resignation speech, and if you listen to the words of that speech, it is a warning of exactly what's happening to us right now, and Republicans and Democrats can agree that George Washington knew exactly what we were supposed to keep our eye open for, and we are so stupid that we can't even pay attention to what George Washington told us. I don't know if it was 150 or 200 years ago. He warned us about this. Remember, we fought our government because they wanted to tax tea?
Yeah, Boston tea.
That was,
Oh, yeah.
that was only for tea.
Point.
Now, the list of taxes on you and me, no matter if you see things your way and I see things my way, we both walk out this door and we both get overtaxed.
Our taxes get taxed.
Correct.
I mean,
so we're being overtaxed, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of waste. And I think one thing that President Trump understands is he doesn't like big government. He doesn't like overtaxation, and they hate him because of that, because they're trying to protect what they've built.
You know, the middle class taxes are going to go up. Like he started a lot. Like 2025 is going to end. Our taxes are to go up every single
We
year.
always pay more tax because we are very kind-hearted in the middle class. We support people below us. Rich people are very frugal. Every rich client I have, hope They're not watching. They are the biggest difficult people to work with because they do not give. They only get. They only take. The problem is rich people avoid all taxes. Donald Trump included. The Bidens included.
Loopholes,
They cheat on the loopholes. President Trump said it best right to Hillary's face. He pointed right out in the crowd, and he said the reason he doesn't pay taxes is because of all of her donors out in the crowd gave him those tax loopholes. And he said, kindly take away the tax loopholes, and I won't do it.
But then he turned around and gave the top 2% a tax break when he was president. And then added $8 trillion to our debt. And you know who started?
See, for a second, I thought we were getting somewhere.
Yeah,
I thought we were getting somewhere for a second.
You know who started the what?
For like,
You know who got
All right,
rid of the
Jesse,
middle
relax.
class? The middle class Ronald Reagan got rid of the middle class.
okay.
He had the trickle down theory. He's like, look, if we stop taxing the rich, they're going to put it into the workers. The workers are going to put it in the economy. Well, he did that. The rich never gave their trickle down. They just kept it. And then all of a sudden it went like this.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't mind paying taxes if it goes to good use. Mind you, veterans.
Yeah.
I have
Fire,
a second
police.
cousin who was in Iraq in the early 2000s,
Yep.
and he suffered from PTSD, has a Purple Heart, almost had his leg blown off. He was an interpreter because he spoke Arabic, so like he was in the shit, and he fought for like 15 years trying to get VA benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should be taken
Interesting.
care of for life. I agree with that.
I don't mind if my taxes goes to veterans or people who need it.
Yeah.
Like
Before I jump
don't
on to
mind.
the next topic, somewhere, us giving billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine and to Israel, are you pro or
I'm
against
not.
that?
I'm
You're
not
against that.
I am against it. I am
You're
against
against
it.
that.
Yeah, I'm against it. So like, giving money to our allies is one thing, but writing blank checks is like, I don't know how much we've given. Like Israel, mind you, Israel, for everybody in Israel, they have free health insurance. Did you
Okay.
guys know that? That
No.
all the if you are a citizen of Israel, you have free health insurance because of American tax dollars.
Wow,
Why don't we have free health
that's
insurance?
incredible.
Why?
I didn't know that.
I know I talked about. I just have it. Okay, just for regarding
Yeah.
all the money we're giving to Ukraine, it's not getting taken away from anything that it's part of the military budget. What they're doing is they're giving them money. With that money, they're turning around and buying weapons from us. So we're getting the money back. They're using it. So it's not like they're taking our Social Security away or anything. It's
I
part of
agree.
the military budget. They're giving it to them to buy
So
the
that-
stuff from us. So we're
But that is not coming back into the American pockets. Like my point is like we're paying for it, but like where's our tax rebate?
But it's not. It's part of the military budget.
What
It's not,
Nicole
it's not
just
affecting us.
explained.
So Nicole,
She just explained, Jesse, something called money laundering. Okay? It's the biggest money laundering activity that's ever been done in history. By the way, she complaining over and over about the upper 2%. They own these military institutions. They are supplying these weapons. They are the ones making all the profits from the tax dollars going to Ukraine. I don't care if Ukraine is taking the money or they're buying those things. They're not buying them from the taxpayers. They're buying the missiles and the weaponry from corporations that own government military complex.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think our military budget is like I think it's upwards of close to $1 trillion.
Yeah,
It's like $900 billion. I mean, they call it the military industrial complex. Like the U.S., we're kind of like an arms dealer. We sell weapons
Sure.
to everybody and everybody.
That also encompasses the soldiers. Don't forget that.
True. Like giving, if that was spent on total of our military, that's fine. I get we are the strongest military on earth, and we need to have that stance to police the world from some very, very bad people.
Right.
But there needs to be a line drawn in the sand, I feel like, because then the Americans, like,
Okay.
there's
Understood.
needs that need to be met on
right.
our end.
So I was gonna ask Knucklehead here with his baby bladder, but he's gone. So Brandon, the United States gave Ukraine $7 billion about a month ago. We also give Israel billions of dollars, etc. From someone that isn't really politically driven or pay much attention to any of that, what is your perspective? Is that something that you understand or you agree
I
with?
understand it, but I just think it's a lot of money to be given away
And what issues are you referring to like we have here?
Like the homeless, like the veterans.
The homeless. Okay.
Honestly, like, one of the big things for me that I know about is like the veterans. Like these guys risk their lives fighting for like the freedoms that we have and all that, and the fact that they're just in a completely shitty situation, but yet we're giving billions of dollars to other countries is to me, I don't see how that makes sense. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't help out other countries, but I feel like you should have your own ducks in a line before.
Baby bladder.
Yep. And by the way, I heard everything you said.
All right, we're giving Ukraine $7 billion and Israel billions of dollars from somebody that's not following everything. What is your perspective on that? Is that something you agree with? Or
So I mean, exactly how does that go? So we're giving all this money to
Ukraine is fighting against Russia in a war.
Correct. So now
So we
US,
manufacture a lot of those
was
weapons.
the U.S. aligned with any of these countries
course,
prior?
yeah.
So we're
So we're
kind of in
doing
the middle
part
here.
of what we said. We like all the countries are donating to Ukraine. Like I don't like it either. I really don't like them giving money. I don't
Right.
think we have a choice. I don't think we can let Russia
And that's
take
the thing.
over. I think that's dangerous for us and our neighbors. And
What's your thoughts
Poland's
on it?
next.
My thoughts on it, I do think is, I think it's a little absurd. I mean, you know, I feel like kids my age tend to kids my age don't talk about too much of the important stuff. A lot of the stuff that we hear is like, oh, we're in debt. We're in all this debt. Apparently, we give all this money away to all these other countries. So, I mean, you only really hear the bad. But then again, like, I don't
All right.
think it's a great thing that we're giving it to other countries, but are we doing it for a good cause? Is it going to benefit us in the long run?
Okay, now you're talking.
So
Now you're making sense.
Is it something that we're doing for a reason? Is it going to
Okay.
benefit us in 5 years from now? Is Ukraine and Russia going to be doing this 5 years from now? How long is this war going to be? Where does it end? I don't exactly think that us giving money to them is necessary, but
I'm
if
gonna
it's
jump
for a
in
good
there.
cause,
Junior is exactly right because if someone takes $200 out of his wallet, what he's saying is he just wants to know where it's going before
Correct.
he agrees whether he wants to give the $200 or not.
Right.
But one bad thing about Ukraine is we've been told that we have to give them the money or this is going to happen, that can happen, but we have no receipt or itemized invoice of where the money's going.
Interesting.
right?
I
Exactly.
think that's what the American people are looking for. I don't think we're ever going to get the answers because that money is being used in a lot of dark ways. A lot of people are probably getting rich off of it, whether that be American military companies or Ukraine leaders themselves. Russia's probably in an advantage over this because the more the more war we fight, the
Right.
more they make.
Okay.
I mean,
so
I
thank
think
you,
everybody's just looking for
Yeah.
an answer of where the money's going,
Well said.
and we don't have any answers.
And I
Perfectly
appreciate
said.
it. Thank
So-
you, brother, because that's kind of where I'm along in the middle of.
I'm going to interject there. So what I would think, I think we should protect Ukraine.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but I do definitely think we need to protect Ukraine at all costs because we can't have another USSR. With that being said, I also think that Israel being such a strong ally, I'm cool with sending them a lot of money. However much, I'm not sure. That's out of my jurisdiction, but I definitely think we need to send them a lot of money. So,
For sure.
moving on, gun control, right? So, yeah.
I didn't even get to say, did you ever play the game Risk?
Yes.
so
And build your little allies,
Yep.
all that stuff, right? And as far as the taxing the rich so that we get better, no, it doesn't get better when you do that because that's trickle down right to you. It goes tax their balls off all you want. You know what's going to happen? You're going to pay more. You're going to pay more.
No.
You're going to pay more.
Absolutely.
For what? Why?
I feel like
Tax
they'll
the
always
rich, they're
find a
just gonna
way.
raise their prices.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, they'll always find a way to screw
Like-
us.
right.
Not only that, they know how to get around taxes better than anybody. They
Yeah.
have arsenals of accountants, and they're also connected to lobbyists. Lobbyists are connected to our Congress.
Great
That
point.
was the number one thing that caused a divide in America. The reason the people are divided is because we allowed in the 1970s lobbyists to intervene with our Congress. It used to be illegal. As soon as they allowed lobbyists in our Congress, our whole entire country started having trouble because more important than any president is a clean Congress. We haven't had a clean Congress in many years. The American people only agree
I agree with
one
Dave.
thing.
Yeah.
The one thing the American people agree on more than anything else is term limits. Term limits will never happen because the only people that can vote on term limits is
Themselves.
Congress. So you cannot get Congress to do term limits because they love their position. They are career politicians. They are absolute scumbags on both sides of the aisle. You can see what they're doing. They don't support President Biden. They don't support President Trump. They support themselves, whatever's going to put the most money and their most power in their pockets.
So the president doesn't really matter. It's them.
We have a big problem in Congress.
You guys are all making incredibly intelligent points. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to do this, but taxing the rich doesn't help the poor. We're not the only country that is supporting these other countries.
That's interesting.
So to go
When
off
you
of
think about it,
That is interesting to
play
think about.
go home, play the game Risk, and see how you have to work around.
Yeah.
That's what.
Well, maybe we should
to
like.
go off of Dave and
Well,
to kind of backpedal a little bit on lobbying.
Right.
AIPAC, for example, to just go back to Israel, they contribute, I think, hundreds of millions of dollars to our Congress. Now, should we allow foreign nations, even though they're our allies, to have a say in how our Congress votes?
No.
You got a point. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Israel. I'm not a fan of what they're doing, and that's just because they've broken a lot of international laws and blah, 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 whatever. We can go down a huge list.
We need to be a fan of ourselves.
Exactly. If we, AIPAC, dude, if you look this up, it's actually sickening. They contribute hundreds of millions of dollars to Congress to sway their votes
Sure.
on both sides.
Of course.
Because when Kamala gets on the podium, I support Israel. Now look at how much AIPAC has given her. Donald Trump, I support Israel. Look up how much Israel has given Donald Trump.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting.
There's a lot of lobby
Well, here
on
it's
both
okay,
sides.
no, Brandon, what were you?
Yeah, he had his
All
hand.
right, I'm going to jump on. I'm going to jump to the next topic just because. So, Second Amendment, right? Gun control.
Right, okay.
I'm big proponent of weapons. I have a lot of weapons. The Second Amendment is near and dear to me. I'm a military guy. Gun control, is that something that you're preaching against? Like, what's your stance on the Second Amendment?
This is interesting.
You know what I'm going to say.
This is great.
Good.
Okay, listen. This is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
In 1994, I think Bill Clinton put a law into place that banned mass casualty weapons for just citizens. And then when I don't know who came next, canceled that law. School shootings went up. It's gone up ever since. I don't understand why we just can't.
Wait,
Why
what
they
did you just say? Wait,
School shootings. Her stance is that school shootings are continuously going up.
Since they canceled the law that banned.
Assault.
There's
Yeah,
no other
assault
way
weapons.
to do it. I know they say it's not the gun, it's the person. Like, no, I think it's the gun now. I think that it can't be accessible. If they want to have them, maybe keep them in a locked community building where you go and unlock it. I just don't think they should be around in people's houses.
Now, okay, so now I have a question. Being a teenager, because right now, I actually have a connection to this. This is extremely. I was robbed at gunpoint when I was 16 years old.
You were?
I was robbed at gunpoint when I was 16 years old from somebody who was probably 30 to 40 years old. And so, Nicole, I do agree with you to a certain standpoint, being in a standpoint like that. But, like, Nicole, do you have kids?
Yeah.
You do. Mm-hmm. So now, coming from the family that I come from, I feel like the way that people portray weapons is very I don't know the word for it, but very different. Like, the reason why weapons are so important in my family is because a lot of it is because of protection. That's your home and it's your house. And I'm not saying that guns resolve to the solution.
I mean, rifles and stuff. It's just the automatic ones that can go like kill 50 kids in 2 seconds. That's what I'm like.
But a lot of that stuff is illegal. But as far as like having gun control, I mean, there's been certain moments where I truly feel if a gun was present, a lot of situations could be de-escalated in a certain way, or if just used in a proper manner. I just feel like a gun could save your life.
So in the event that someone is doing a mass shooting, you think a gun can save lives as opposed All right.
Correct.
Got it. I'm gonna move. Actually, let's go to Dave. Your stance on gun control.
Excuse me. Sorry, guys.
Shall not be infringed is what was written into our Constitution. It's never been written in any other freedom that we were given. It was given to us for a reason, to protect ourselves from anyone that has more power than what they're supposed to have. It's supposed to protect our freedom of our family, of our life, and our homes. Shall not be infringed is the way it was written. There's no Supreme Court on earth that can change it. Unfortunately, it takes a good man or woman with a gun to stop a bad man or woman with a gun. The bad man or woman with a gun, if there's laws in place that try to have gun control, the bad people are the first ones that never pay attention to those new rules.
Because they're a criminal.
Correct. So it's pretty easy to understand that the good people who follow laws will hand over their guns so they don't get in trouble and they're not charged with crimes. The bad people who don't even have their guns registered will hide their guns. They will continue to use them. It'll get worse. As far as school shootings goes, it's 100% fact that every school shooter has been on antidepressants or antipsychotic medication, either on them or previously on them. The problem is what they're finding is anyone that was on antipsychotic or antidepressant medication who stopped using them, there's something in their brain that causes a lot of problems. They're very sad or angry about stuff. They blow off the handle. Unfortunately, we have to control mental health to try to find out, to keep guns away from people who do not belong having guns. It really has nothing to do with legal gun owners or illegal gun owners who aren't using them to kill people, because there's a lot of guns, and it's just going to be a really sad time if they try to take away people's guns. It could result in worse than what we're seeing right now. I think what we have to focus on is put the news out there that's supposed to be heard. Every single school shooter, there has not been one, has had some kind of political agenda, has had antipsychotic medication or antidepressant medication either in their system or previously was prescribed. So there's something in that medication that's causing problems, and that's what we really need to stop, because it's so scary to send your kid to school and think that potentially someone can get in that school and use weapons that we want. We want the freedom of having them to protect our family, to protect our house. So that is the worst thing. They use these school shootings as a way to promote. Every time there's a school shooting, they get on TV and try to promote gun control. It's kind of sad that they do that. But what they really need to do is pay attention to every single shooter that has gone in a school with a gun and who they were, why did they do what they did, and whether or not they really were on those medications.
Interesting.
Because if that's the case, then we can narrow it down through analytics and pay attention to anyone who's been prescribed that medication, who make sure they're either taking it or not taking it, and then to make sure that they can't get their hands on a weapon. But unfortunately, the bottom line is the right to own a gun,
bear arms, right?
bear arms shall not be infringed. It was made that reason. The reason for that is because
part of the Constitution, right?
Correct.
So Solmar, young buck.
I agree and disagree with both.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's hear it, man.
hell yeah, man. Because Somar, hey, man.
Hey, spit it out. Let's hear
Yeah,
it.
so I'm a gun owner. I purchased
You
a
have
rifle.
your concealed license to carry?
No, but
Okay.
I have an AR. I have an AR-15 at home. So I just SBR'd it. I don't know if you know what that means, but I made it into a short-barreled rifle. So it's like the scary one that you see that all the school shootings happen in. So what I did was I got fingerprinted. You go through a more in-depth background check.
Where did you buy this? At a gun show?
I got it at Relic.
Okay.
Relic. So
Understood.
obviously you go through the process of buying
store.
any firearm.
Yep.
I don't have a criminal background, nothing like that. So after
Did
I
you?
purchased,
So just to walk everyone through it, did you Did you go there? You bought the gun and you left with the gun immediately, or was
Yes.
there a process?
Yes, I left with the gun immediately.
Okay.
So it was pretty quick. It's almost like 5-10 minutes. Honestly, there should be some sort of process to stop mentally ill people, obviously. But again, to back off what Dave said, it's hard to like go down the middle of like, okay, it's a Second Amendment, but like, where do you draw the line? Because I believe everybody should be trained and properly educated on using a firearm. Education goes a long way because there's like 10 guns in America per one American. If they're statistically speaking, there should be more shootings, but there's a lot of good, responsible gun owners in America. There is. You can't hide from that fact. There's a lot of responsible, me, you, I'm sure there's a lot of your neighbors are responsible gun owners. Like, so you can't, it's easy to just like, from the left side of things when school shootings happen, sometimes they get a little like washed up in that whole, like, we got to ban assault weapons. Everything is assault weapon. Everything is a machine gun.
Right.
Like there's differences. It's not always black and white. There is gray. So like when my rifle that I purchased was a 16-inch rifle. Anything under that is considered a short-barreled rifle.
Handgun, essentially.
I had to get fingerprinted. I sent all my information to the DEA. I took like a 360 photos of myself.
Sure.
Like, and it took, I think like 4.5 months. They sent me a letter. They said, hey, you're approved. Like, I can't go out of state with it. I had to laser etch a serial number on there because now I'm technically a weapons manufacturer because I shortened the barrel.
Huh,
so I'm in a DEA database because I own, because they consider short-barreled rifles to be more lethal.
Gotcha. Okay.
Essentially, they're not.
So, in your opinion, Americans should have weapons or they should not?
They should. I think there should be a better process because
fair enough.
The only thing they go off of is if you're a criminal. When they do that background check, there's no like.
It should be a registry for mentally ill.
The person who's selling you the gun, they have to make that determination right then and there. Does this person seem out of his mind? Because if I sell him this weapon, now I'm liable.
Right.
So it's hard to determine, like putting all that pressure on the gun seller, the firearm seller, that, hey, am I making the right decision? Because I could have bought that rifle and I can go commit a mass shooting.
What I really like.
And the world revolves around money, man. So that person who comes to the door, man. I mean, who are you?
Yeah.
You know.
But again, to go back, statistically speaking, there is a lot of good gun owners in America.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
I'm a gun owner. I have a lot of weapons, 30, 40, 50 weapons. I have a lot of weapons. I do think there should be background checks. I don't know if that's politically aligns with what I go for, but I do think there should be background checks.
I like how the parents are now going to jail.
Yeah.
2 have gone to jail so far. I love that.
I think that would put
More
more
parents on
pressure on
alert.
because
See, I ain't gonna lie, I
Pennsylvania,
think
you don't
that's
have to
kinda
lock
fucked
your
up.
guns. You don't have to
What,
lock your
parents?
guns in Pennsylvania. I don't know if you guys knew this, but like your 40 guns, I don't know if you have a safe, but Pennsylvania is one of those laws that you can store 50
You can open
guns.
carry, right? You can
Or
open carry.
you could store 50 guns in your closet.
Right.
There's no laws that prohibits that. Some states, if you have a certain amount of guns, they must be properly stored in a safe. Pennsylvania's just like, dude, you could have 100 guns underneath your
So
couch.
I guess it kind of goes back to being state to state to state. So
Right.
it varies throughout the whole country.
Especially
So,
if you have a young kid who's maybe mentally unstable, like what was that recent shooting where
the father
Uvalde
bought him the
or,
gun. Right.
right that he was very irresponsible when it comes to the parent.
And his father's arrested.
The guy was on an FBI watch list.
Oh, and the school
I
interviewed
mean-
him. There was a videotape of the school interviewing the dad and his son like a year
Yeah,
prior.
I
He's
saw
like,
that in front of his house. I saw
And-
that.
yeah.
The kid was on an FBI watch list.
I don't
That's
know.
because which is a segue right into our next topic, which is going to be about social media and misinformation. So
Oy.
that I know exactly what you're talking about. That interview, I saw it on social media. They were interviewing the father. The kid was put on a watch list because he gave out apparent threats on social media platforms.
Yeah, he was on Discord and saying a bunch of like,
Right.
yeah, he was saying a bunch of nonsense. Which, from an FBI standpoint, the FBI agency is so big, they probably get so many tips. Like, how do you vet what's a legitimate tip and what's not?
Right. So, Dave, how should platforms handle misinformation, and what responsibilities do they have in moderating content, in your opinion?
I think we're just overwhelmed with misinformation from media outlets. I think they want to sway their watchers based on what they think their watchers want to hear instead of just reporting on the news. I think that's why Twitter, has become so popular because you can search that for the information that you're looking for, and you can try to follow the people that you agree with, and someone on the left can follow the people they agree with, and
Whether it's right or
people
wrong.
who are not political can follow companies and do things like that. So, I mean, to answer your question, it kind of sucks that we can't get the truth out of anyone anymore on either side. All they're trying to do is just cater to what they want us to believe. Everybody's falling for it. I fall for it on my side. My grandmother's been watching CNN. She's 87 years old. She cannot be convinced of anything other than what she's heard on that TV channel. She has no Twitter. She has no Facebook. She has nothing. So she can only recite the
What she's
stuff
been
that
told from
she's
the
been
reputable-
told on the TV.
So, Dave, are you on all the social media and stuff? Are you on?
Yeah, so I'm not on TikTok. My kids are. I never downloaded it just because, I just never felt the need. I already spend too much time on Facebook.
So as far as social
Instagram
media
and
stuff, guys, go, because Nicole, I see you on Facebook. We're mutual friends. Dave, this is my first time meeting you, sir. As far as the social media goes, I know you mentioned you have kids and whatnot, so the social media is probably a big thing. Dude, I don't know if you guys see it, but I get memes all day of Trump, Biden, and Kamala all day. I get all these different memes all day long on social media. When it comes to I'm 26, you guys are 26. You guys are my peers. I look up to you guys. When you guys see stuff like these memes and whatnot, does that steer your opinions, or is that just kind of like, Dave, when you see shit about Kamala, is it like or is it that's true, or is it like, maybe this shouldn't be on social media?
There's been times in my life where the memes and the stuff that comes through my social media could actually affect my mood. And
right.
I had to pump the brakes and stay away from it.
For
Now that
sure,
the
for
election's
sure.
coming, I see it more often. I'm paying a little bit more attention to it. So you really have to be a responsible social media reader to answer the specific question on misinformation. The sad part about misinformation is almost everything that we heard about President Trump with Russia and the whole thing, that was all made up. That was proven to be wrong.
No.
Yeah, it was
No.
proven to be wrong. And the same thing goes with President Biden. We're trained to think that because Hunter was in China so many times and doing business with these companies that they had access to President Biden. So they try to make me believe that he's corrupt. They try to make her believe that Trump's corrupt. But,
The media is powerful. You can make people think some
yes.
crazy
so
shit.
It is
For sure.
It is the
For sure.
oldest
Crazy
trick
shit.
in the book, propaganda from any angle.
Yeah.
They used to drop leaflets from the sky on people because they didn't have any other way to reach them.
Right.
So, what I don't like, no matter how much misinformation sucks to deal with, you have to be able to make your own decisions, do your own research. You have to take time to actually listen to what people have to say, not what people have to say about that person.
Right.
What does that person have to say for themselves, and then be a judge of their own character. I do not like censorship at all. So if that answers your question,
Okay.
there's only one thing you're not allowed to do with your freedom of speech is to directly say something that is a threat that's going to cause danger to another person.
Makes sense.
So I think that's a lot of our freedoms that were given to us were thoughtfully played. They were thoughtfully they were thought out properly, and they were put into place, and they worked really good until now things are getting a little out of hand because there's just so much misinformation. But
See,
you have to be a judge. You have to be able to judge what's right and wrong. I can't stop you from having this podcast because something Nicole or I said was not factual.
Right.
You should be able to have this podcast, and anyone listening to it should be able to say, oh, Jesse's podcast has a right to have anyone they want on there. They're not always going to tell the truth, or they might not even know that what they're saying is not right, but that's his right to be able to put those
Great
people
point.
out there
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
man.
podcast.
Right.
And
Very
they
well
should
said,
be
man.
able to listen to a podcast and say that Dave Feinberg is lying. And he's just, trying to make Trump look good. Or Nicole's misinformed because she listened to something and, they should be able to make their own decision. If
Well
I
said.
say something here that is going to hurt her, when she leaves here, her life's in danger. Absolutely, that's not protected under freedom of speech because it's a danger to her or to someone in the room. It should be completely stopped. Goes right back to saying Donald Trump is Hitler. I mean, at some point, you have to just be careful what you say to people because people can take it the wrong way and then they can go out and try to act on what they heard. So you do have to somehow police the dangerous stuff, but you can't stop people from talking.
So
Very well said, man. Hell yeah.
So Nicole, going over to you now. Social media. What's your stance on same question?
I think 2016 was really dangerous because that's when it flooded with Hillary and Trump. Flooded. Now we're in 2024. We know that there's cyber warfare. People are trying to So I think everyone is a little bit less trusting, which is a good thing, right? Make your own judgment. Don't trust everything you hear. So, yeah. I mean, I don't think we should have censorship either. And like Dave said, unless you're, trying to get someone hurt.
Right.
I mean, and then and people have to realize if you run a media, Fox gets you might get sued.
So what do you think about?
Hurt their reputation.
And this is just a general question. I'm going to ask both of you. I think in 2021, or no, I'm sorry, when did 2018? I think is when they banned Trump from social media.
Oh, yeah, they did. That's right.
That's because, you know why? Well, under the inciting violence. And hey, that was.
So you think that was a good?
That was, but listen, that Facebook's privately owned. That's their choice to make. That's their choice to make. I think. I mean, you can't force them to. They banned a lot of people.
I was going to say, they do ban a lot of people.
Somar, where are you at on this?
Yeah, I mean,
They banned the president of the United States.
the whole censorship thing. I don't think anybody should be censored unless inciting violence, you're being openly racist towards somebody, hateful rhetoric should. I don't want to say censored, but there should be a line that's strong.
Like a public forum.
Did President Trump incite violence, in your opinion?
I'd have to see the exact tweet because I know there was multiple tweets that they kind of flagged off.
So, in your opinion,
it had to go off of January 6th. I think that was a big one,
right?
Of what happened there because he said some words. I'd have to pull up the receipts. But for example, this year there was a study conducted on X and Facebook that a lot of foreign powers right now are, because of how strong AI has gotten in these past couple of years, that a lot of the interactions online are by two bots, and they're meant to get a reaction out of other people.
Like us watching them argue.
Right. So there would be there would be fake interactions with people online, and the whole purpose is for these AIs to get a reaction out of you.
Oh.
That's their whole point, is to draw people into these arguments. And a lot of, because like us, we're sitting right here, we're having a peaceful conversations. We all have different views. We're not at each other's heads.
Yeah.
But online, when you scroll through that stuff, man, it's like, you would think these people are ready to kill each other. But there's been a study that's been conducted that a lot of these interactions are fake, that they're bots put there so they can have you, the audience, drawn into that conversation and say, wow, this guy is kind of agreeing for what I'm saying. I'm going to make an input, or this guy's saying some outlandish shit. I'm going to make a comment when it's just two bots fighting each other. It's called fake internet theory. You should look it up. It's a study that's been conducted that a lot of these online profiles are not real people. They're fake people.
Do you think? I think Russia and other countries are trying to go.
It's foreign. It's China. It's because the
China
United
too.
States, our foreign policies, controls a lot of the world.
All right, so going into Gen 6, is that important to you, Gen 6? What happened?
No, I don't think entirely Trump caused that. I think it's just his crazy followers. Just like any political, nominee does have the crazy side of things. I personally would not have went there and entered a federal building that officers are guarding. It's a federal building. You got to be stupid.
You think President Trump caused Gen 6?
Absolutely.
Do you think President Trump called Gen 6? Did he cause that? All right, he doesn't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Would you break and enter a federally protected building knowing that you could be charged with a federal crime? And,
No.
And a lot of those people who are arrested
Absolutely not.
blame Trump, which
Yeah.
Do you think
people like that who are putting blame on Trump and trying to use him as a scapegoat because your person, you went into that building.
Sure.
Trump
But
wasn't
don't
like,
you think that
"Please
they were there
enter the
for
building."
him,
say
though?
so.
from afar?
Yes, to support him. But the people who sit outside, you can sit out there and protest. We, as Americans, have a right to protest.
Yeah.
You can stand outside of your house and scream nonsense
But
all day long.
maybe I think Dave might agree. I think that they were there like to do right by Trump, like to make like we're gonna fix this. This was stolen. Like I think in their minds they were gonna like save America because they were told it's corrupt. Be there. It's gonna be. We gotta
I think
fight
some
if
of those
you want to
people were
save
just
your.
crazy.
Oh yeah, it was the extremists for sure.
Because like if you go break into Congress, what are you gonna do? Sign the papers?
I
or
have no
like,
idea,
what?
but I really think that they
Dave.
weren't breaking into like for fun. I think they were doing it for Trump,
Yeah.
at the direction and benefit of Trump.
Dave, Gen 6, brother. What are you thinking?
I think people traveled there at 3, 4 in the morning. They were amongst hundreds of thousands of people. No one witnessed any violence or weapons the whole day. When President Trump spoke, he thought that he was cheated out of the election. Maybe one day we'll find out that he is absolutely wrong, and maybe one day we'll find out he was right. I think the evidence is still to be determined on whether those ballot boxes were actually infiltrated, whether there was ballots dumped in the right places at the right time. I find it hard to believe that President Biden got more votes than President Obama did. I find that very hard to believe. President Obama was way more popular. He was the first black president. He completely demolished the numbers. He was elected by a landslide twice. He
And
did a
you,
great job.
again, you voted for
And
president.
I voted for him twice, and his votes were astronomical. I don't think President Trump could beat President Obama's vote count, and I sure don't believe that President Biden beat President Obama's vote count by 28 million votes. I find that very hard to believe. So something
That's just
may
absurd.
or may not happen. We
Yeah.
don't know. It may be hidden from us. Maybe they don't have the evidence. That's why they can't publicize it. But I think President Trump thought he was cheated. I think a lot of people thought so too. What I think about January 6th is when he got done speaking, I think there was a real plan in place to keep that building somewhat unprotected. I think they were banking on embarrassing President Trump with his supporters doing stupid things. I think also there was instigators in the crowd that may not have been President Trump supporters. I know because I've been to some things in my day where when people start doing things, you get beer muscles and you start doing more things,
Sure.
and then once the floodgates are open, then you feel like, oh, I can go sit at
Go with
Nancy
it.
Pelosi's desk and put my feet
Right.
on the thing. I don't really believe that any Trump supporters went in that building intending to hurt or kill anyone. I really am sad for the veteran, the girl that got assassinated. She didn't have a weapon in her hands. She was in the wrong hallway. She crawled through a window. She was completely stupid for doing that. But when I watch the video, it destroys me because that was someone's daughter. That was someone's wife.
You know what, though? I saw the video, too, and their guns were drawn, going, stop, stop, stop. And she kept going. Stop, stop. Like, I would expect to be shot. If I'm crawling through at police, they're going, stop, stop.
There wasn't guns drawn. There was one gun, and it was a man hiding in a corner, and he came out from the corner, and he immediately executed her. There was no, he may have said stop, but he squeezed the trigger right after he said stop. She was up in the window. She completely fell outside of the window into the same hallway she crawled out of. So the evidence is very clear. She didn't even breach the door. She went up into it. I watched the video 1,000 times. She got shot in her throat with no weapon in her hand. I really don't care what the excuse is. That man was a trained law enforcement officer. He was actually the captain of the Capitol Police. He could have easily done something to stop her more than execute her. I don't like that happened. I don't believe anybody went in there to try to kill or hurt anyone. I also don't think that the instigation happened. I think it happened intentionally. I think there were people in the crowd that instigated.
Sure.
I really believe the doors weren't secured properly. And I think it was like the perfect storm to set up what appeared to be this big insurrection that they keep calling it. But I really, truly don't believe. I also don't like that they attribute that to September 11th. That absolutely disgusts me. That 4,000 of our citizens died on September 11th, and it was a terrorist attack. And they want to try to attribute September 11th to January 6th. Those are the things that get me to never want to vote for a Democrat ever again. I voted Democrat. I walked away from that party because I'm seeing things that I don't agree with. I don't believe we should have tampons in boys' bathrooms. I don't believe that we should give sex changes to inmates on our tax dollar. I don't believe that a lot of the things the Democrat Party stands for is not the Democrat Party that my family's been voting for my whole life. I think the reason Robert Kennedy Jr. Left the Democrat Party to join Trump is because he doesn't like what he's seeing amongst his party. Tulsi Gabbard is pretty awesome. She's a veteran. She fought in Iraq. I really like her a lot. I respect her. I liked her before she left the Democrat Party. I really like listening to what she has to say. And I think some of the people that left the Democratic Party to come over and support President Trump are really they're really good people. Which brings me to the last thing that I'll say. I really wish that we can vote for President Trump without voting for Donald Trump. I mean, really, they've done enough to tarnish his name. He has a lot of dirt on him, whether it's right or wrong. But at the end of the day, I think he's the better person to govern our country. I think he's going to protect the American people. The bottom line, he's going to make tough decisions. He's going to govern with strength. And I think he's the right guy for the job. Do I like Donald Trump? No. Do I like President Trump? Yes.
Well said.
That's a good ending.
That is a great ending. So, Nicole, you're going to have to top that. So
he's voting for President Trump now.
So, Dave convinced me. We're going to the polls together. If you get me a MAGA hat, no. I honestly, if I'm wrong and he really has good intentions, then I'll admit I'm wrong. I truly, in my heart, believe that he does not have good intentions. I feel like he's got lots of side deals made. I feel like the Russians, Saudi Arabia, I feel like he would like to be a dictator because he adores dictators. I think he would like to enrich himself and his family. I feel like he wants to run it like an oligarch. Like he had his daughter and Jared all in there, unqualified, uneducated people with foreign policy, and they were just in charge of this. It turned out that's how oligarchs start. My close family and friends are the top. We rule it. He might keep some aspects safe. I just don't think he will be a good leader.
So
But
why should people vote for Kamala?
I think Kamala was a lawyer. Then she was assistant DA. Then she was district attorney. Then she was attorney general. Then she was in Congress. And she's very smart. She's kind of boring.
What
I know that.
nationality is he?
I don't even want to hear about our president. I don't think our president should be just put her head down and work. I said that before on her. Put her head down and work and just do a good job. Just make smart decisions. Let everybody live. I rather have that peaceful calm than chaos, threatening everybody.
Okay.
We haven't spoke much about Kamala, but just real quick, I'll just say one thing about her is when she ran for president, she was the first one out because she was the one that no one really liked out of the 12 people.
Right.
I think she was picked to be vice president for a reason. I also think as president, Kamala Harris is being controlled the same way they controlled President Biden. One thing that President Trump is definitely true, like she said, he does not allow anyone to control him, buy him off, pay him off. He's already got lots of money. So I think that is scary to a lot of people because, he can come across as, a lot of those names she called him. But as far as Kamala Harris goes, I don't believe we're voting for her. I believe we're voting for the same people that are in that club that want to control her every move and they want to push their agendas. And I think that's the scariest thing is because I like the old America, the America that this man fought for, that my father and my grandfather fought, that you fought for and served. I think we could always do better, but I think the actual Constitution and our rights that we were given and our freedoms, I believe that is important to keep those things in place, and I don't like that potentially she's not in control of
Interesting.
herself. I think there's a lot of people in that club, and she's part of the club, and they control it. And I think like she says, she wants to turn the page. I think people who vote for Donald Trump, they're trying to turn the page from that.
Right.
So I
Okay.
think Donald Trump is actually the page.
So we covered a ton there. You know, and so it's evident who you're voting for, and it's evident who you're voting for. Somar, you're kind of in the middle. Jesse, you're kind of like still learning. You're learning everything. You asked for what her background was.
Right. That might have been the nicest thing you said to me all episode.
I was expecting.
You convinced him.
She's
Holy
Indian
shit.
and black, I think, is what she African American.
Yes.
So,
I think, yeah.
Yeah, well, she.
yeah.
Okay.
I think with that being said, Somar, so you're being in the middle, man. It's going to be interesting to
I
kind
don't
of
know.
see.
It's hard, honestly. One of the things I think, just my background in this past year, honestly, like that whole shit in the Middle East is kind of like, because who I am as a person, like my culture, it's kind of like my identity. It's hard to like, I'm Syrian first, but I'm also American. Like I'm a Syrian American, and I'm proud of my heritage and like what's been going on in the Middle East, and I think how like both sides of the aisle is handling things. It's kind of just pushed me away from politics. Honestly, it's pushed me really far away from politics because it's like they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit if 50, 60,000 people are slaughtered for no reason. So it's just like that's kind of my main reason right now where I'm like, I don't know if I want to vote. Like, will my vote go into bringing peace to the Middle East? Will it bring better prices for Americans here at home, better health insurance? Like, it's so hard because even like my younger generation, we have a lot of questions. There's a lot of us that can't even afford homes right now. So it's like, it's hard. Like, I see a lot of younger people who are voting. Like, right now, it's women's rights. That's a huge, big thing right now that's driving the younger force.
You know what? That's what I agree with.
But as a younger generation, that can't be the only driving force to vote for a particular political candidate because there's other stuff, which women's rights obviously has to be up there as well. But there's other things at play other than women's rights because a lot of men my age, it's hard for them, if they don't have a woman in their life, for them to kind of like feel something for a certain political party if they have no connection to it. So they're not really gonna be swayed on just women's
But
rights.
you have a wife? No.
Yes, I have a
Fiancé.
fiance. So like
So if she's pregnant and the baby dies inside of her, and we are in Texas, and the doctor says, "Look, we're
I
not
would
going to abort
smuggle
it."
her out of Texas somehow.
No, we're not going to abort it. You have to come back.
Yeah.
You're going to deliver it naturally. Just keep it in your belly and then if it starts to rot and you get sepsis and you're
Yeah.
actively dying, and then you can come to the hospital. And guess what? If you have other kids, they might lose their mom. But that's,
Yeah,
you know what?
it's-
That's tough. That's tough because we can't have an abortion.
But women's
I
rights
think
can't be the only
that
thing.
affects everybody. It affects
No,
families.
absolutely, it
makes, as soon as a woman gets pregnant, she is property of the state. That is effing insane. I think that's crazy. It's like, to me, I don't even like saying abortion. It's just healthcare.
I think we agree more than you think. So like
Okay.
women's rights, I'm a huge supporter of women's rights. I think
You're just trying to say it doesn't like affect you directly. I know,
no, it doesn't. Which it does affect my fiance. Which yes, it does affect me directly. But like my opinion, I think women should have the right to do whatever they want.
Like
with
they
their
were just
bodies.
taking away a right they have.
You
for
brought
50
up,
years.
so you keep bringing up Texas, and you brought up, oh, I'll just take her out of Texas. Is there any reason? Like, is there any? Is that reasonable?
No, I use Texas because you
Yeah.
literally cannot leave the state if you're pregnant.
Dave?
You will get arrested if you have an
Is
abortion.
that true?
Yes, you will get
That's a
arrested.
crazy, like.
Hold on.
And that's why Roe v. Wade and women's rights right now is a hot topic because there's some
shit.
outrageous things
No
when it
shit.
comes
They
to
find
state
out
laws.
a doctor gave you an abortion in another state.
We're
you
going
protect it.
backwards,
He goes
but
to
I just
jail.
want to hear Dave's perspective on this real quick.
I didn't talk too much about women's rights because it's rights of the life of the woman, the life of the baby. If I got someone pregnant, I don't have a right to tell her whether or not I want the baby. My mom is the grandmother of the baby. My mom doesn't have a right as a woman to go and challenge that we want the baby. My biggest thing with abortion is it does stop a beating heart. And if the baby can live outside of the womb, I think the baby has rights. Nicole has her point of view on specifically when a baby miscarriages. I have a specific point of view when there's a pregnancy that
Is unwanted.
fiancés, husbands, uncles, aunts, grandmothers, people who really believe that they would love to care for that baby. They love the baby. The baby's not even here yet, but they already feel an attachment to the baby. No one has any rights except for the woman. And if the woman wants to go to a state that allows abortion, she absolutely can.
No, she can't.
She can try to go to that state or, have an abortion in some other way. I personally don't agree with that. I think that the doctor has a responsibility to save the mother's life. And if the mother's life is in danger, the doctor has to do what they were trained to do to save the mother's life so the mother doesn't die just because there's a problem with the pregnancy. I also believe that if that baby can live outside of the mother, then that means the baby doesn't need the mother to live. And there are cases, extreme cases, just like her extreme case, where there is actual survivors of abortion that they travel around the country and they put on rallies and they stand on stage with one leg instead of two, one arm instead of two. And they talk about how the doctor attempted to abort them because their mother tried to have an abortion and it didn't go right. And the baby was born, but they already got clipped. And instead of them clipping their head and their neck, they clipped their arm on accident.
Dave, I think that's freaking insane.
I watched it with my own eyes. There, you can look it up. There is actual people who survived abortions. And I think they are on a big push to try to protect other children from that happening. So there's all these different stories that you can attribute. But I believe, I truly believe that once the baby is made and created and the heart is beating, I personally have a hard time with any drug or any physical intervention of that until the mother's life is in danger. At that point, I think the doctor has to make a really careful determination that he cannot save that woman without having to get the baby out. Then they should get the baby out, and if the baby can survive outside of the womb, they should do medical care to try to help the baby survive, regardless of what that mom may want, because the dad and the mom and the uncle and everybody might be there for that baby. If the baby dies because it couldn't survive without the mom, then the baby dies naturally, not because they clipped it, not because they gave it some kind of drugs or just left it there to die. That's just my personal belief, and I'm not saying she's wrong or I'm right. That's just what I believe.
You're shaking your head, yes. So you kind of agree with that?
You know what? Yeah, because you're entitled to your own opinion, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there's common sense too that falls aligned with this.
Yeah, I just think
hate
healthcare's healthcare.
Yeah.
Just be safe. Put it back the way it was.
I just think abortion is used too frequently, especially in the black community. Over the years, it's been used by white people to keep the black population down. The black community has more abortions per capita than any other community. I think they're starting to wake up that they were actually Planned Parenthood pushed abortions in the black community. Why? Were they being paid for it? I think there's a whole underlying thing with abortions. My personal belief is abortion has been used irresponsibly to get rid of pregnancy. I don't like that. I think that if you have sex and you're
that's
pregnant,
their decision.
Then and I just respectfully disagree that if the baby is grown enough to live, it feels pain.
Makes sense.
And I just feel like that baby has some rights too. The rights don't just start miraculously.
What term do you agree with, Nicole? That you, I mean, again, it's a touchy subject. You don't have to answer.
I agree with.
It's like what month?
Oh, month. Listen, there's no such thing as 9-month abortions. There's none. What I agree with is women's health care. Doctors are not inherently evil. Women are not inherently evil. They just do what they do to survive and get through it. And we just don't even know the lengths and depths of it. I just think it should go back into place. If someone hates it, fucking hate it then.
So it seems like
This is why it's a hot topic.
Yeah,
But I
it
think what
is,
Jesse
right.
was
So it
asking
seems-
is if the baby can survive, are you okay with killing the baby?
I went through this shit twice too. I'm not gonna lie,
it's a
so
yes
it's
or no
kind of
answer.
fucking crazy.
Killing the baby.
Like,
Yeah, if the baby can survive by them taking the baby out of the mother, because the mother doesn't want the baby, she wants an abortion, and the baby survives.
So that would be like at the 5th month then, because that's
I
when a
think it's
baby.
like 26 weeks is viable. 24 weeks is like a miracle.
Okay, so that's
There's
the fifth
never been a
month.
baby. So are you saying at 24 weeks, it's okay to take the baby out because it could survive on its own, or are you saying that the woman can kill that baby and you deserve the right to kill the baby? I'm just curious.
I'll
I feel
be
like
honest with you.
healthcare would have to be like, what is the point of like? I feel like we have to like look at the experts, like the doctors. Like,
Yeah,
because I don't know.
No,
I'm
it's
not a doctor.
26 weeks. So
Right,
a baby
like-
can survive at 26 weeks. Below 26 weeks, it can't. Above 26
yeah,
weeks,
no,
it can.
I'm right there
So
with
the
you.
question
Honestly.
Jesse asked Nicole, and Somar, you can answer it too
Yeah.
because maybe you have an opinion. But if the baby can survive, and you were the baby,
Yeah.
and you can survive, would you want your mother to have the right to kill you, or would you want the right to try to survive?
It's a tough question because but no, seriously, it is because as a baby you don't know any difference.
So, but what's
Abortions-
more important to you, your mother's right to kill you, or your right to survive?
Listen,
But-
abortions
but
don't
I-
happen after 26 weeks because the mom wants it. It happens because there's a medical problem.
Right, so that's where
Nothing-
I wanted to go. Is like, is there some sort of medical
One-
scenario
One in
that
a million.
Unfortunately, that's not
Nope,
true.
that's no.
Because
I
after
promise
26
you.
weeks, 26 weeks is only 4 months pregnant.
Women aren't getting them at that late. And if they are, it's like 0.00002.
okay.
Her,
All right.
her
All right.
stats are just wrong.
Okay, so listen. So obviously, so we know that pregnancy. So women's rights is something very important that the left is working on. I think Dave really hit a lot on the economic standpoint from the right. So that appears on what each parties are campaigning on. So we'll see what happens. There's a lot to uncover there. There's a lot of he said, she said that's going on. Me personally, when it comes to women's rights, I just don't know the whole state line policy. So and I'm
it
not
just
even going to get
differs
into
from
that.
state to
right,
state. It's
exactly.
so widespread.
So maybe we can get
Do-
together after the.
Do
after the
I
election.
think it's good for states to control that and let the states vote on that? I do think. Hey, let Pennsylvania vote on that, and then it becomes a Pennsylvania state law, and I think that's kind of what it is right now. So with that being said,
Well, actually,
No.
no. That so now we got everyone else's opinion. Your opinion now. With your opinion, and after everything, has Dave or Nicole steered your opinion any differently than what you were when you came into this podcast?
Or me.
with us, Dad?
You know, I'm here.
Yeah, seriously. No,
Somewhere-
actually, but
somewhere does
No.
count.
that's a great question. Seriously, guys,
it's-
seriously.
My views are so.
it's very simple.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Okay.
Nobody has swayed anything from me. For me personally, what it's all the economy. That's what
Correct.
I'm voting on
Cool.
is the economy.
Yes, sir.
So
That's your bit.
with that being said, Nicole, thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you for having me.
We did a lot of uncovering, and I look forward to having you on many more episodes.
Only if Dave comes and so much.
Somar, dude, you're a great guest, man. Please
you,
come
man.
back
Thank
again.
you.
We had a
Yeah,
blast with you.
Absolutely.
Dave Feinberg, man, dude, thank you so much. You're a great professional in our area, man. I look up to you. I take a lot of advice from you. You're great on social media, and you have a great following, and you do really good business here in the Valley. And I will certainly pass your information along to all of my
What do you
friends and
do?
family here.
I sell real estate,
Yeah,
All right, I'll come to you when
we'll
I
go on
need
to that afterwards, right?
and I'll treat you fair.
Yep.
You're right.
Brandon, dude, thanks for coming. And Chris, thank you for coming, man. Thank you for sitting in and enjoying. Viewers, guys.
Yes, sir.
Listen, it's your civic duty to get out there and vote. Please do that. Please
Nice
do
meeting you,
that,
man.
guys.
It was a pleasure.
If anybody has any questions, please ask your family, your friends. Again, thank you for joining. Look right here, subscribe, like, and we'll join you during the next topic.
Everybody, that's Working Wednesdays, and we're tuning out here. Everybody have a great week
you
and have
so
a great
much.
night.
Go Birds.
Yay! Oh, that was fun. I love that.
Hey, good shit, everybody. Hey, seriously.